Good afternoon and welcome to the Employment Department's monthly media briefing. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to give everybody a couple more minutes to join the webinar before we get started. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Rebecca Gibson King. I'm the Communications Director for the Oregon Employment Department. Today's speakers are Gail Krummenauer, State Employment Economist, and Agency Director David Gerstenfeld. Unemployment Insurance Director Lindsay Leahy and Paid Leave Oregon Director Karen Madden-Hummelbaugh are also on hand to answer questions at the end. A couple of quick notes. This call is being recorded and we will post the recording online and send out the link after the briefing to everybody who RSVP'd. We will take questions after opening remarks. If you have any technical difficulties or are otherwise unable to get your question answered today, we are always happy to help you with the OED Communications Office at communications@employ.oregon.gov, and we'll be happy to help you out. And I will now turn it over to State Employment Economist Gail Krummenauer. Please go ahead, Gail.
Thanks, Rebecca. Thanks, everybody, for joining us today. This morning, the Employment Department released the jobs numbers and unemployment rate for April. Oregon employers added 4,900 jobs to non-farm payrolls over the month. The largest gain occurred in private healthcare and social assistance, which added 1,700 jobs. We also saw a gain of 1,500 jobs in construction, and manufacturing added 900 jobs over the month. The largest decline occurred in professional and business services, which cut 1,100 jobs. We've seen modest job growth, just stepping back and looking at the past year. Oregon employers have added 16,100 jobs, which is a gain of 0.8%. Again, sectors with the largest gains over the year include private healthcare and social assistance, which has added 16,600 jobs, and that's a gain of nearly 6%. We've also seen an increase of 9,400 jobs in government, with about 2/3 of those being added at the local government level. At the same time, several sectors have had notable declines in employment over the year. That includes manufacturing, which has lost 3,700 jobs, retail trade, which has dropped 2,300 jobs, and the information sector, which is down by 1,100. Oregon's unemployment rate was unchanged at 4.2% in April. This was the third consecutive month with the unemployment rate at 4.2%. And Oregon's unemployment rate has been in a narrow range between 4.0 and 4.2% for a little more than half a year now. Our labor force has grown slightly, adding about 30,000 people over the past year, and participation in Oregon's labor force continues to rise. Oregon's labor force participation rate ticked up to 60.3% in April. That was the highest it had been since late 2012. With that, I'm going to hand it over to Director David Gerstenfeld for some more agency-wide updates. Thank you.
Thank you as always, Gail, and welcome everyone. First, I want to announce our new Modernization Director at the Employment Department. In February, our current Modernization Director, Renee Royston, accepted an exciting new opportunity at the Department of Administrative Services. Starting in June, she'll help the executive branch with some of its complex technology project needs. We've now completed the recruitment for her replacement, and I'm very pleased to announce that Rebecca Jensen-Craven will join us as the new Modernization Director on Tuesday, May 28th. Rebecca has spent her career as a public sector technologist. She got her start as an intern doing website management for a nonprofit construction consortium, and she spent time in the startup world, including building natural language models and artificial intelligence products for public sector organizations. As an employee of the state of Oregon, Rebecca has previously been a senior IT investment oversight analyst and a senior IT portfolio manager at Enterprise Information Services. She's been a data architect and senior business analyst at Business Oregon, and most recently, the Modernization Director for the Oregon Public Employees Retirement System, or PERS. Renee will work closely with Rebecca during the transition process, and even though Renee is officially starting her new role with the Department of Administrative Services on June 1st, she'll still be available to support Rebecca for the next couple of months. Shifting to some updates on the rollout of Francis Online and what we're doing to improve customer service here at the agency. As of Sunday, May 12th, we've completed 10 weeks of administering unemployment insurance benefits in Francis Online. In that time, we've distributed $140 million in benefits, and the weekly claim volume has stabilized at about 30,000 claims for the past 2 months. It's been 9 months since the launch of Paid Leave Oregon, which has provided more than $417 million to over 55,000 people during that period. Both programs have made significant strides and are issuing benefit payments to most people in a timely manner, but we know that we have to do more. After the expiration of pandemic-era funding forced us to reduce our unemployment insurance workforce by about 2/3, we've not had enough people to complete the volume of work coming in as quickly as we'd like to. This means that while we had been outperforming most of the nation in getting people their unemployment benefits quickly, now some people are facing long delays. The lack of adequate funding has hindered our overall customer service, including not having enough employees to answer the phones. Simply stated, we need to get fully caught up on our work to provide the level of customer service that Oregonians deserve and require. This means not only significantly reducing the number of people with long delays on their claims, but also having enough staff to process new work promptly to prevent more delays. With additional administrative funding from the state through 2024's House Bill 4035, which goes into effect early next month, we're already starting a hiring push that should help us improve customer service beginning in mid to late August. However, this isn't enough for us to catch up as quickly as we need to. We know people who are waiting too long need to get all the benefits they're eligible for. While more employees is crucial to providing good customer service in the long term, we can't wait. We must act boldly to make significant progress and establish sustainable, high-quality customer service levels. The changes that we've made and will make do not make up for the loss of 2/3 of our unemployment insurance workforce, but they will make a very real difference. Even as we hire and train new employees, thanks to the recent authorization of House Bill 4035, we must do everything that we can to help Oregonians now, and we are doing that. Because our top priority is to significantly reduce the number of people waiting for their claims to be resolved, we need to give our employees more time to focus on resolving claims. To do that, we're making 2 changes, one that's permanent and one that is temporary, to our phone hours beginning in June. The changes will affect the phone lines for unemployment insurance, Paid Leave Oregon, and contributions and recovery. Our current phone hours are 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. However, depending on staffing, our employees keep answering calls on hold until about 5:30 or 6 p.m. when the phone system shuts down. Beginning Tuesday, June 4th, our phone hours will be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We'll stop accepting new calls at 4 p.m., but our employees will continue to answer calls that are on hold until the last shift ends. Starting June 3rd, we'll also be closing our contact center phone lines on Mondays so staff can focus all of their energy on processing claims, answering electronic messages, making outbound calls, and doing the other work we know people will call us about if we don't complete it quickly enough. This is a temporary measure until we know that we've resolved most of the issues people have been waiting on for too long, and when we know that we're on a good path to ongoing improvement. Our initial target is to reduce by 80% or more the number of issues that are 6 weeks old or more. Currently, that's about 13,500 issues. Once there are no more than 2,700 issues that are over 6 weeks old, we'll resume taking calls on Monday. Importantly, because many people have more than one issue that needs to be looked at, this means that it will be fewer than 2,700 people that are waiting over 6 weeks. And to be clear, this is not our ultimate customer service goal, but the point when we believe it's more beneficial to the public for us to resume having incoming calls on Mondays. We understand this change will make it more difficult for some people to reach us by phone in the short term, but it will help us quickly address the most pressing issue for people who have been waiting the longest. As we address these outstanding claims, we'll be able to handle more incoming work faster, issue benefit payments to people more quickly, and also provide our customers much better levels of customer service and support that they need and deserve. In short, changing the phone hours will help customer service in several ways. With more time to resolve claims, we can deliver benefits to eligible people quicker. In turn, fewer people will call for an update on their claim. That reduction in calls lets our staff answering the phones focus on the people who need direct assistance with their claim. We're also working on improvements to Francis Online to make it easier for unemployment insurance customers to understand the status of their claim and make it clearer if any action is needed on their part. This should also help reduce call volume. Overall, the negative impacts of reducing phone hours will be small compared to the progress we'll make in resolving the issues that people are calling us about. We know this in part from data from a pilot project that we did in January in the unemployment insurance program, where employees were given 2 hours a day to focus on working on outstanding claim issues. Some examples of the work they did was reviewing information people had already provided us, responding to written requests or inquiries from claimants, and making outbound calls to get the additional information we need to determine eligibility and issue benefit payments. This pilot project resulted in productivity increasing between 25 and more than 200%, depending on the type of work. Our employees will continue to make outgoing calls before 9 a.m. and after 4 p.m. as part of the work they do with processing claims and addressing other customer needs. We also have people working overtime outside of normal business hours to help resolve unemployment insurance claims. Both Paid Leave Oregon and Contributions and Recovery will also benefit from having more task-focused time for their employees. The Paid Leave Oregon program is adding staff to speed up claim processing and improve customer service. Our customer care team has increased by more than 20% since April, and they continue to hire. We know how important this work is. People are already facing difficult situations with the loss of employment or needing to take leave from their jobs. We know how frustrating it is to wait any amount of time to receive benefits, and that it's been especially difficult for people to reach us by phone. We're committed to improving customer service and to provide Oregonians with the absolutely best service we can. These steps will help us do just that. We'll continue to explore innovative ways to address the challenges we face, to apply the lessons we learn along the way, and to keep the public informed about our performance. We'll be tracking the effect of these phone changes on our productivity, and we'll be sharing regular updates on our progress. We've already seen progress in many areas and appreciate the support of the legislature and the governor in providing the right tools and more staff to get the job done. And with that, I'll turn it over to Rebecca for the question and answer portion.
Thanks, David. We are now opening the phone lines to members of the media to ask questions. Unemployment Insurance Director Lindsay Leahy and Pay Leave Oregon Director Karen Hummelbaugh are also available to answer questions as well. If you're joining us by phone, please make sure to hit *6 to unmute yourself first. And as a courtesy, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up question. As always, if you don't get your question answered today, please email us at communications@employee.oregon.gov, and we'll be happy to get that answered for you. So I'm going to go over here. First up is Kyra Buckley. I'm allowing you to talk. Go ahead, Kyra.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Excellent. I love it when it happens on the first try. Thank you all so much for this call, and thanks for taking my question. I asked about this last month, and I just want to get some clarification. I'm wondering if we have data on the number of cases that are in adjudication. And David, I heard you say 13,500 cases with issues that have been outstanding longer than 6 weeks. First of all, I want to check and make sure I have that correct. And then I'm wondering is that the number of claims currently in adjudication? And then my follow-up is, if we do know the number of cases in adjudication, do we know about how long it's taking to resolve those cases?
So Kyra, I'll take a first stab at this, and I'm looking to Lindsay to correct me if I get anything wrong. I think you got that right. There's about 13,000, just over 13,500 issues for us to resolve that are 6 weeks or older, and that's what we're focused on resolving. That's that initial target that I talked about. When you ask about the number of issues in adjudication, using the broad sense of that word, which is what we use, the federal reporting is a much narrower definition, and we use the broader term when we're talking because it includes a lot of things that could be potentially holding up some of these benefits, even if those things aren't included in all of the federal reports and definitions of adjudication. So I just wanted to clarify that. So it is about 13,500 that are in adjudication where the issue is 6 weeks older or more. I believe that the number of total issues that need to be adjudicated is closer to 55,000. And the difference between those two are the ones that are obviously more recent and that we're committed to making sure we resolve before they get older. And I think that answered your question about kind of what the context was. Did I miss part of it?
Yeah, I'm wondering for, the ones that aren't more than 6 weeks old, do we have an idea of about how long it's taking to resolve those cases?
Sure. We're still working on getting the data to show that in the new system. Obviously, the more that we can get all the issues resolved, it really lets us get to them a lot more quickly. Some people's issues continue to be resolved very quickly. So we're still paying some people benefits within 1 or 2 weeks, a fair number of people. And we're really focused on the people where it's taking longer. As we get to that kind of average time frame or median time frame to be able to share that with the public for expectations, we will be doing that. But we've really been focusing our efforts on getting the data that lets us help the people who have been waiting the longest.
And just a quick follow-up add-on to what David was saying. So those numbers that he shared, they don't necessarily equate to like number of claims or number of people, it's number of issues. So a single claimant could have multiple issues on multiple weeks, or they can just have one issue affecting 1 week or one issue affecting multiple weeks. And so when we look at each of those issues, we need to determine eligibility based on, the laws and rules that are that guide the unemployment insurance program. And the other thing is, of those issues, we do need to look at them and adjudicate them, but they're not necessarily all holding payment from a claimant. Sometimes the person's in pay status and we have an issue that we still need to look at or and determine whether or not we would stop payment. And so it's very complex and nuanced, but those but the numbers are correct.
Awesome, thank you. I'm known for asking about complex and nuanced things. So thank you so much for taking my questions. Appreciate it.
Okay, next is Christina Giardinelli with K2. Go ahead, Christina.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, thanks so much. So one of the things I wanted to ask, and I'll ask a follow-up as well for the paid leave program, but one of the biggest complaints we're getting is with regards to communication. And some of the instances, communication could have resolved things faster than they did end up resolving in some of those instances that we looked at. People not getting communication about the next step that they need to take, and that next step being delayed, they're missing deadlines, then they have to go back and appeal. Not having that communication in some cases is going to complicate matters and put people into that 6 weeks or longer period. So while you're working on that back end, that front end is going to get clogged up. Are you not concerned about that? Seems counterintuitive.
So, Christina, part of this is counterintuitive because we know that people feel that urgency to talk to someone to get their issues resolved. But I want to be clear, when we're doing this, we're not stopping all communication. People can still submit written inquiries to us through the Francis Online once they're logged in, or if they don't have a Francis Online account, they can send it to us through the Contact Us form on our website. And importantly, when I talk about focusing on those claims that are older, some of those are situations where we need more information and maybe the person didn't understand what we were asking for, or maybe the communication wasn't clear enough. That's where our employees are doing outbound calls. They're reaching out to people to say, here's what the situation is, here's what we need. So we're very concerned that we're not able to help everybody as quickly as we want right now, but we're really focused on starting from the people who have been waiting the longest and helping them so that everybody gets the resolution to their claim much quicker. And we think as we work through those people who have been waiting longer, we'll continue to speed up how quickly we're able to get to things. We are really encouraging people also to look carefully at the information they get, whether it's in letters or through web notices, because sometimes people, understandably, they're in a really difficult situation when they apply for benefits. And sometimes if they have a question about the information we've sent them, for instance, whether to make an appointment or something that they need to do, we are proactively providing that information. And if people have questions, they can call us on the other days. The web messaging is still probably the most efficient way for them to get a question to us so that we can respond with details rather than having to have our employees kind of start investigating from scratch while the person is on the phone.
You know, and just quick follow-up to that, David. Some of the people that I talked to mentioned that they didn't get their web messages answered for 2 to 3 weeks at a time sometimes. Is that going to be changing, do you expect, with these hours? Are people going to be answering those messages more frequently?
Yes, that's one of the areas where we're focusing people. I mentioned that some of the things they'll be doing when they're not on the phones are responding to those written inquiries, because when our employees look at those inquiries, sometimes it is just a question. Sometimes it's a combination of questions and providing us information that we need. So we do want to encourage people to use that communication method. It's more efficient overall. And we know for people to have confidence in that, we need to address them more quickly. And that's one of the aspects of us focusing on people who have been waiting too long.
And then I do have a quick question about the paid leave program. Is this okay, Rebecca? Okay, well, I'll go ahead.
Sorry, yes. It helps when I unmute myself. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, so I understand these hour changes are also going to apply to the paid leave program. Is that correct? And then, you know, David, you had mentioned multiple times that the issues with the unemployment program, unemployment insurance program, are related to a lack of federal funding, paid leave not being funded by the federal government. What are the issues there? Why are we switching to reduced hours there?
Sure, and you're right. We don't have the same challenges with paid leave in terms of woefully inadequate federal funding like we do with unemployment insurance. And at this point, we think that the customer service in the paid leave program has really improved quite a bit. But frankly, again, we're not satisfied. We're not saying that we're done and that we're at the desired endpoint. I think for such a new program, the customer service levels that we're at shows really good growth and ongoing improvement of the program, but we still want to get things going more smoothly, respond to people more quickly, and the paid leave team will be focused on doing that. And while I didn't focus today much on the fact that we're also staffing up in paid leave, that is one of the things that they have been doing is they've been looking at how the program works, what the need is, what level of customer service we're able to provide. So they also are doing more hiring, and this will let us improve the customer service in the short term while those additional employees gain proficiency and experience.
So how many open positions are there within paid leave right now then?
We can get you that exact number, Christina, and we actually have openings right now. But we did just recently hire about 40 people. About half of those have just finished their training. The other half are starting their training. So we're getting very close to what will be our full complement of staffing to the best of our knowledge. Obviously, with a new program, in some ways we were trying to estimate what we needed for our staffing, and we're still trying to refine that.
So
Yeah, and I will follow up with you, Christina, to get you that exact number. I'm going to go to Mike Rogaway with Oregonian next.
Hi, David and Lindsay. To start with, do you know what your average hold time is right now for callers? And do you have an estimate of what it will be after these changes take effect?
The average hold time is, I don't have an exact number in front of me, and it changes significantly during the day. There are certain times that lunchtime is always a higher hold time than late in the afternoon. So there's kind of a normal pattern. It's too high. It's well over an hour. And that's not acceptable to the public. It's not acceptable to us. When we first start this, so that first week in June, I don't think that it will make a difference that week. What I think it will take a couple weeks. So for instance, that first Monday, everybody that was planning on calling us still has those questions and they're waiting. I think that we will rapidly be able to work through a lot of those older issues and start seeing fewer and fewer people calling us, and that will help the wait times. We're continuing to post what our wait times are and to do the reports of the percentage answered within certain amounts of time. We'll continue reporting on that. And one thing I want to emphasize is that we're quite confident that this will overall help based on the pilot project and the data and the other things that we've experimented with to improve customer service. If we do this and we're not seeing the level of improvement that we expect, we're going to reevaluate and we'll share if that changes our plans.
Gotcha. And that was going to be one of my next questions, which is whether you have any other levers to pull, and why you're doing this now as opposed to having made this change in March if things are not going as well as you'd anticipated.
Sure, that there are other levers, and part of it is in terms of what we did in March, a lot of it was uncertainty about what the process was going to look like. We did a lot of testing. We did customer focus groups for the new technology. And we know from talking to other states that every time you roll out an unemployment insurance benefit system, there's a decline in productivity initially as everybody is getting used to the system and you identify things that need to be refined. We really didn't know until we were working in the system what was going to be more efficient, where there were things that we needed to make adjustments to. So we've been watching things very closely and also refining the data that we can get from the new system. There are other levers that we can pull, and to be clear, we're pulling a lot of levers. That is not the only one. I mentioned overtime. The unemployment insurance division, just employees in that area are doing over 1,000 hours of overtime a week. We have people from other parts of the agency that are working either as their existing workload allows, or for instance, in paid leave. Some of them are doing overtime because they have experience with the unemployment insurance program to help where the need is most urgent. There's also a lot that we're doing to continue refining the system as we see what the pain points are. For instance, we've seen some types of scenarios where the system is raising things as a potential issue for adjudication. And there are categories of those where we can refine how it works and avoid creating some needless issues. And that helps us speed up the process, reduce the amount of work coming in. So we're doing all of those things at once. And it's kind of looking at what the right balance is. And right now, we just see clearly that the biggest benefit we can do is helping to get these oldest claims resolved as quickly as possible.
Thank you.
Okay, next.
I was going to add just one thing, actually, that was spurred by one of Christina's follow-up comments. We are doing hiring. We have a lot of amazingly dedicated employees who are doing great work. They're incredibly committed, which is why they come in even when there's some of the difficult parts of knowing that they're not able to get to everybody as quickly as they want. One thing that would be helpful for us would be to encourage people who are also really committed to public service to apply for the positions here. We have a lot of really long-term employees, and when we're hiring, it's a great opportunity to get other long-term dedicated public servants.
Okay, next up is Ariel Salk with Coin. Go ahead, Ariel.
Hello, hi. Oop, my headphones are stuck. Y'all hear me all right?
We can.
Okay, perfect. Just to clarify, so the folks who are working in the call center department and with their adjustments and the Mondays being taken off, they're going to be shifted to a different department to help with this backlog, correct?
They're not shifting from one department to another. They're just shifting what work they're doing. So we have some people who spend almost all their time answering the phones. And when we're not having the incoming calls, they're instead going to be, as I talked about, responding to written inquiries, looking at what needs to be done on a claim to release payments if the person's eligible, and to doing that work. So not a different department, just doing a different type of work.
And can you tell me how many people this will be impacting in your staff? Like with the Mondays, and I mean, they're still coming in on Mondays, I'm assuming, but the Mondays and the adjusted times.
Sure, I'll ask both Lindsay and Karen if they have a rough estimate. This will be a rough estimate if we have it, and if not, we can get back to you, because we do regularly shift people from one body of work to another. And to be clear, yes, these people will be coming in on Mondays, and that's the whole point of doing this, is that they're able to really focus all of their energy on resolving the work that we know needs to be done, and they can commit that solid block of time to doing that.
Yeah, and with all the hiring going on, I want to follow up in writing so we can just see how many people, because we've got various groups onboarding and shifts and things like that. So I want to make sure to get you an accurate number. So we'll follow up.
Great.
Same.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ariel. And then we do have one written question from Michaela Cotter. She asks, we've gotten many calls from people saying that they are on hold for up to 5 hours at a time, only to have the call dropped. What can you say to those people who are not able to get through to anyone for help? Some of these people have been trying since February.
So what I would say is we know that we're not providing the level of customer service we want to, and that's why we're making this change. If somebody has an issue that is that old, these steps will let our employees focus on resolving those as quickly as possible. If it's somebody that has an issue where they do need to talk to us, as it eases the phone wait times, it'll make it easier for them to get through to us. In the meantime, I would encourage, if somebody is in that situation, to send us that written inquiry, which we are continuing to focus on handling those, even on the days when we're not having the incoming phone calls. And I would also just offer my sincere apologies, and I know from everybody here, we're upset at not being able to help everybody as quickly as we want. And that's why we're making these changes. That's why we've been focused for years now, highlighting the need for additional staff for the unemployment insurance program to be able to provide the levels of customer service that we know everybody wants.
All right, not seeing any more questions or people who need to ask questions. I'm going to bring this media briefing to a close. As a reminder, this call was recorded and we will send out the link to reporters who RSVP'd. We will also post it on the media page at www.oregon.gov/employ under news and agency info. And thank you to everyone who participated today and your partnership for keeping Oregonians informed about our important services. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.